Hey guys, welcome to my review of the 100th anniversary special of Spider-Man issue 1. This was a very interesting comic. Though it had its good things, it had its bad things, but I'll start with the good things. It was very interesting to see what Marvel was trying to predict what Spider-Man will be like in 50 years. I think it's 50 years, forgive me if I'm wrong. If it is 50 years, Peter Parker still looks pretty young, so I was so confused with that a tiny bit, but it didn't really bother me much. But it continued from like a previous story, and on the first page it did give you a rundown of what's happened before this issue, so it did make a bit more sense. The art was pretty interesting. Some shots of Peter sort of remind me of like an anime type of look. And one thing that sort of annoyed me was that on one panel in like the third page of the comic, it was just like a crop from the front cover, like the picture of like you see on the screen now, of Kingpin's face, half Venom, half him. They like cropped just a close up of his face and put that on one of the pages in the comic, in one of the panels, and I thought that was pretty cheap. Like, you can't just draw a normal picture. You had to cry. I noticed that straight away. Sort of. I was comparing it, and it is that. I did look at it closely, so that was sort of weird. But the story was good. I really liked the story. It was really cool to see what the Techno Venom could do. And the technology in the future was cool to see as well. And it was mainly just Venom. Venom was cool, except I know he's Kingpin and that, but he was sort of pretty fat, and that was sort of weird. Like, he just looked weird though. It didn't really matter. It just did look a bit weird. And there wasn't too much talking in the comic, but I guess that's good, but sort of bad as well. It was a very quick read. I have to admit, it was a very, very quick read. Cause, yeah, like I just said, there's not much writing in it. Like, the first couple of pages is writing, and there's a little bit on like the last 2 pages, but besides that, the comic was basically just pictures. I know sometimes it's not bad, sometimes it's a pretty good thing, but for this one, I liked that, but it felt really, really, really quick. I read it in like 8 minutes. Like, you pay like $5 for this comic, you'd at least want it to last between 20 to 30 minutes, like comics usually do if you take your time with it. I was trying to take my time with it, but it's one of those comics that it's just pictures. You can't really take your time. You sort of just read, like, look at each picture. You can't really just, like, I went through it again, but still, like, that's probably my biggest complaint though. That the comic was a very quick read, and there should have been a bit more writing. But besides that, that's probably the one big thing that irritated me the most. But besides that, it was a very interesting read to see what Marvel would predict Spider-Man would be like in the future. I thought that was pretty cool. And like I said, some of the art looked a bit anime at times, and they just cropped to the front cover and put on one of the pages, and just small issues like that. But they were good. This comic did have good qualities. I'm gonna give this comic a 6 out of 10. I did enjoy it, but it's definitely a comic you don't need to read. It's, yeah, just, if you weren't too sure about getting this comic, I recommend don't worry about it. You're not really missing out on anything. And it's not like it affects the comics that were like the current comics is like predicted like 50 years in the future basically. So yeah, it's definitely a miss. Don't worry about it. It will. I guess I'm not saying don't get it at all. It's a good comic to read randomly, but it's one you can miss, and don't. Don't worry about it. But it was a fun comic to read, but it did have some issues. It was a very quick read, and I wouldn't say it's worth the money either. So, like I said, I'm going to give this comic a 6 out of 10. I was a bit disappointed with this comic. I did expect a bit more, but Venom did look pretty cool when we got to see his new techno powers thingy. Like, he could go through an electric billboard and stuff like that. Like, he could do pretty cool things that the current Venom can't, and I thought that was pretty awesome. But yeah, 6 out of 10. It was a pretty average comic, but yeah, get it if you want, but it's definitely a miss. But thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it, and please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.